The true story of Odysseus, the dark truth behind the cunning hero. Before we begin, remember this. Every hero of Greek mythology paid a price, but only one had to pay it again and again and again. You know the name Odysseus, the mastermind behind the Trojan horse, the wanderer who spent 10 years at sea. But the real question is, why did the gods make one man suffer more than entire armies, even after he won the greatest war of all time? Tonight, you will discover the story that most versions never tell. The prophecy foretelling that Odysseus would return home a stranger. Why Athena, the goddess who loved him, eventually turned her back on him. The unspeakable acts that cursed his journey before it even began. And the final twist that proves Odysseus was never the master of his fate, but its prisoner. This is the true, brutal, unfiltered story of one of the most complex heroes ever imagined. Stay until the end, because the final revelation is the one that shatters everything you thought you knew about him. Before he was a legend, Odysseus was a king trying desperately to avoid glory. The suitors of Helen had all sworn an oath to defend her marriage, but when Paris stole her away, that oath became a death sentence for every Greek ruler. Odysseus wanted nothing to do with it. He had a newborn son in his arms, a peaceful kingdom, a life already complete. So he did what he did best. He lied. When the recruiters arrived, Agamemnon, Menelaus, and the cunning Palamedes, Odysseus pretended to be insane. He hitched an ox and a donkey together and plowed the beach, sowing salt instead of seeds. It was a perfect performance, until Palamedes placed baby Telemachus in front of the plow. Odysseus stopped. His sanity was revealed. And in that moment, a seed of hatred was planted. Odysseus vowed he would destroy the man who forced him into a war he never wanted. That single vow would stain his destiny forever. At Troy, Odysseus arrived with a brilliant mind, but war sharpened it into something darker. He engineered ambushes, manipulated kings, and lied with such mastery that even the gods admired him. Yet his turning point was the death of Palamedes. Odysseus forged a letter, framing him as a traitor. Agamemnon believed the deception, and the Greeks stoned Palamedes to death. A genius, killed by a greater genius. But the blood of an innocent in Greek myth is never forgotten. The gods began watching him differently, and they watched again when he created his masterpiece, the Trojan horse. A deception so flawless it fooled prophets, priests, kings, even the gods themselves for a moment. The Greeks hid inside the wooden beast, and when night fell, Odysseus unleashed hell. Flames consumed Troy. Steel cut through flesh. Bodies fell on sacred altars. Odysseus himself slaughtered a prince in front of the shrine of Zeus. Victory tasted like sacrilege. And from the shadows, Poseidon, Athena, and Apollo witnessed a mortal crossing a line no mortal should cross. The war was won, yes, but the gods decided something quietly that night. Odysseus would not return home easily. His punishment had already begun. The first warnings were subtle. On the island of the Lotus Eaters, his men lost their memories, almost losing themselves to eternal forgetting. A symbolic preview of what Odysseus would face, the slow death of identity, of hope, of reason. But the true explosion came when they encountered Polyphemus the Cyclops. Odysseus outsmarted him, blinded him, and escaped. But pride ruined everything. As he sailed away, he shouted his real name, and the Cyclops called to his father, Poseidon. "Curse this man. Let him return only after long suffering, alone, and to a house full of trouble." That prayer became destiny. The entire Odyssey is Poseidon answering his son's cry. Next came Circe. The world paints her as a monster, but she was far more complex. She turned Odysseus's men into animals, not to punish them, but to test him. He resisted her magic, demanded their release, and earned her respect. And then he stayed with her for a year. Not because he was enchanted, but because he was exhausted. Circe was not a curse. She was the escape he almost chose. But destiny dragged him away again. Odysseus then did the unthinkable. He sailed alive into the underworld. There, the shadows told him the truth. The blind prophet Tiresias revealed that the gods wanted him broken, hollowed out by suffering. He warned that if his men touched the cattle of the sun god, they would all die. Odysseus also met Achilles, who confessed that glory was worth nothing in death. Agamemnon, who warned him that wives could betray. And his mother, who died of grief waiting for him. Odysseus.